Hello, year three, and welcome to the next topic video this term in week three. This one I'm going to combine lessons 2 and 3 because if you did a really good job on lesson 1, it should have taken you quite a lot of time to get that kind of detail into the picture of your plant. So today's lessons are all about, can I name the different parts of a plant and explain their purpose? So that's what we're going to be doing. So let's see. Now, as we're going to be learning all about plants, first of all, I'd like you to look at the pictures below. Do you recognise what these plants are? Do you recognise any of them? Right in the middle, the red one there, obviously I hope most of you would realise would be a rose. Maybe you can see if you can name the other plants on this video by pausing it. Now, do you know what the different parts of the plants are called? Maybe, if you're really good at naming plants, and you've got a garden, you could go out with one of your parents and see if you can help name the plants in your garden, or maybe go for a walk in the park and name some of the plants that you see. Now, plants are really interesting because generally they have two different names. They have a kind of informal name, a name that we all call them, and then a name that scientists tend to call them, which tends to be in Latin. So, for example, there's a plant called a dandelion. We looked at dandelions in some of our illustrations in the last lesson. Now, you and I would call it a dandelion. A scientist would probably call it a Taraxacum officinale. So a Taraxacum officinale. But obviously we would call it dandelion. So I don't expect you to get the Latin names for the plants, but if you could learn some of the names of the more common plants, you might find that really helpful and useful as you get older. And it's always worth, once you've got a few, you can start collecting others and learning about others and knowing the names of a whole range of different plants and flowers. And then if you become a gardener, then you'll know all the different plants already. Now, parts of the plants. What I want you to do is look at this picture below of a flower and see if you can work out what you would put in each of the 4 boxes. What word would you put in each of the 4 boxes to describe that part of the flower? So what is the names of the different parts of the plants? So what's going to go in each box to label it? Pause the video now, talk to someone about what you're going to put in each of the boxes. Welcome back. So hopefully you managed to do that. Let's see if your answers are the same as my answers. So this is the picture of the flower, only this one's nice and coloured. The first one is the flower, which obviously is that really colourful bright head bit. The second one are the leaves. Now these are the flat green things right there. So hopefully you managed to get flower and leaves. That should be fairly straightforward. The third one is the stem or trunk, and obviously that's the bit that goes up and down and holds the thing in the air. So there it is there. And lastly, the bit underground, we call those roots, and they spread out and keep the plant stable, stop it blowing away. So hopefully you got all of those right. So now let's look into each of those 4 different parts and see if we can actually work out exactly what they do. So the roots. Roots actually grow underneath the plant, below the surface of the soil, and they're usually really long and spindly and covered in really small hairs, and that way they can really grip on and into the soil. So they anchor the plant, stop it blowing away, keep it safe. So if you look at a plant like a tree, they tend to have really massively big roots that spread out to really hold the tree in place to stop it blowing down. The roots usually have covered in small, tiny little hairs, and those hairs help it absorb water and nutrients from the soil, which of course the plant needs to grow and to live. So the roots help pull in water and nutrients from the soil to help the plant stay healthy. The stem or trunk. Now this is the bit that the branches and branches, leaves and flowers grow out of. So the stem or the trunk is the long bit which holds the plant up into the air. It's usually quite strong and woody. So in a tree, obviously, you usually have really big, thick trunks, which enable them to hold really big, heavy leaves. Even small plants, though, have much thicker stems or trunks than they would say to just to hold the leaves on. So look at the stems and the trunks. Now they obviously hold the plant in place, hold it upright, hold the flowers to attract bees and what have you. They also carry water and nutrients from the ground, from the soil, through the roots, up and into the plant to keep it living healthily. So that's the stem. Now, the next thing is the leaves. Those are those flat green bits on most plants, although they don't have to be green, they might be red or any other colour. And the leaves make the food for the plants. And the reason they're flat is to attract sunlight and carbon dioxide from the air, so they kind of capture it, and they turn that into the food the plant needs to thrive and to live. So different kinds of plants, depending on their structure, have different size leaves depending on what they really need to do. And obviously plants in colder climates sometimes have leaves that stay all year, so they're called evergreens. Other plants have leaves in the summer to take the sunlight and the carbon dioxide to make the plant healthy. But of course, by the time it gets to the autumn, the plant actually just wants to stay alive. So it consolidates itself by dropping all those leaves on the ground, getting rid of them. And so it can focus all its energy on staying alive till the next summer when it can grow again. Now the flowers. The flowers are brightly coloured, but they're not really to attract us, even though I know a lot of people really like the beautiful flowers. They're really designed to attract insects and birds. They're to make birds and insects come to the plant, and then when they come into the plant, bees, for example, will try and eat the pollen, and the pollen is kind of like the male part of the reproduction process. So a bird or a bee or an insect will get itself covered in the pollen by diving into the colourful part of the plant, being attracted to it, and then it'll move on to maybe other plants where it'll brush against and into the plant, and that's why they will then reach the female parts of the reproduction of the plant, and that will make the seeds fertile, and the seeds will then grow and create other plants, because obviously plants really want to create new plants, and we'll look at the whole life cycle of a plant in a future lesson. So that's what the flowers are. Although they're beautiful and bright and attractive to us, they are really meant to attract birds and insects so that the plant can reproduce itself and produce seeds which will actually grow. So, can you remember what we've just been through? What I want you to do is pause this video, look at the 4 pictures and see if you can explain to someone exactly what the 4 parts of the plant are and exactly what they do. When you've explained it to them, there is another task for you to do. Right, what I want you to do is get us a piece of paper like this, fold it in 2, and then fold it in 2 again. So you've actually ended up with 4 pieces, so you know, a 4 divide like that. And then I want you to draw your own picture of a plant on it. I'm sure you can draw a much better picture than mine, and I'm sure you can colour yours and make it look really, really fantastic. So on one side, you've got a picture of a plant, and on the other side, I want you to write in this bit the title, so the top bit would be flower, and then a couple of sentences to say exactly the purpose of the flower, what it does, why plants have flowers. Then for this one, obviously the leaves, for this one, the stem, and for this one, the roots. When you've done that, and you've made it as great as possible, and if you can do it really neatly in your best handwriting, take a photo of it, put it on the tapestry so we can all see what you've done and see that you really understand what the different parts of the purpose of the different parts of a flower. As we move through this topic, we'll be doing all kinds of interesting things and experiments about plants, and I look forward to seeing you soon. I hope you stay well.